Hi guys, Kim here. I'd like to share with you my ClayStay, and I'm pretty happy with this. I've been trialing it and testing it and playing with it for over a year now, so I'm really happy to present this to you in a little bit more detail than my previous video. So what I wanted to show you, this is the pen style that I've come out with, and I really like it. So it's got a child-proof cap on it, so you push it in and then turn it. Alright, so this is what this will do. It'll, you know, if you've got it in your toolbox, which I have with me all the time now, and this just stops it from leaking in your bag. And the little pointed nib on it as well makes it really good and easy to flow. I'll do some demos in a minute for you to show you some of the different processes that you can go through with it and use it for. But the aim is give it a good shake. So give it a good shake before you start. Each time you start, if it's not in use, obviously, put the lid back on it, and also if you're using various of different clays or colors, do make sure that you give the nip area and just wipe it over with a wet one. Okay, so, and then just pop the lid back on. Make sure it's nice and tight. So that is the ClayStay at 15mm in here. That'll last you quite some time. It's quite a lot through. You'll take quite a lot of time to go through that and use that up. But the main thing is definitely give it a shake every time you go to pick it up. Alright, so next stage is I'll do some demos for you. Alright, so what I've got here is a sheet of the Superflex Gold Bronze, and what I'm going to do with it is I'm going to paint it. Now the reasoning that I use the ClayStay for painting is it gives me a nice clean surface when I'm cutting it, whether I'm cutting it with a punch, pair of scissors, the silhouette machine, the Cry Cut, any of the machines that you're going to use your clay on. It gives you a cleaner cut. So let me just show you. So I'll just pop it down here on the bench. I'll just move these little pieces, because each of these pieces I will show you. And so I'm just taking my lid off, and just as I said, just give it a shake. Take my lid off. Now you need to do this fast because I'm going to use a paintbrush. Now when you use a paintbrush, you've got to be very, very quick with it, because you put the liquid on it and then paint over it, but you don't want to paint or make any brush marks into your clay. So I'm just going to do a little section here. Now you can see that just quickly going on. I don't even bother putting the lid on. I want to get this on pretty quick. So if I'm just going to cut really this particular area, then leave it at that. Okay, just this particular area here, if I want that cut. Now I'm just going to take that over, pop it onto the dryer. So I'll just dry that. It will take literal minutes to dry, and so over to the dryer, and I'll be back with you for the next section on that. I'll finish off with this, so I'll just show you how that will cut in that particular area. Alright, so off to the dryer. Alright, so the next thing I want to show you is these. Okay, so this here is unfired to unfired. Okay, so I did cut this out on the Cricut earlier, just to show you that. And so that's, and I will again just remove my lid. These days I tend to do it all one-handed. Well, this now I'm going to do it in two hands because I'm in a hurry to get this off. Okay, so Alright, so what I would do with this is literally, now you really need a good bond, and that's the aim of this, to make sure you've got a really good bond on it. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw right round it, use my finger, put down, grab the back. Now I've got a little bit on my other finger here, and I'm just wiping the back of that. Now I'm going to just join the two. Okay, so, and then I am literally going to give them a little move from side to side. Now, just to make sure I've got myself a perfect bond. The reason that you need to get that really good bond with it is to make sure there's no air bubbles. If you've got an air bubble trapped underneath that, then it's going to come apart on you after firing. Okay, so don't worry about, you can see how that's kind of seeped through. Don't worry about that. That'll just dry and it will burn off. So there's no issues on that. Again, now I'm just going to go and put that onto the heat, and I'll show you a little bit more on that one. Okay, next section is what I want to show you. This piece here, it's one of my sculpted horse pieces. So what I want to show you is it's fired. This piece here is a bale I've done, is not fired. So what I'm going to do is grab a piece of clay. And I generally just use just a very, very tiny little ball. I've just got that little tiny bit of, it's just a little gold bronze there on my bench. And I'm going to flip that over. I'm just going to wet the little clay ball. And I'm just going to literally cut that in half. Spin over my bale. I'm going to dab some ClayStay on the back sides of both of those there. Then I'm going to place some ClayStay here and here. Okay, top and bottom, just around about where both pieces are going to go. I'm just going to pop in. Now you can either do that here or here. Now the reasoning that I'm doing that is because if you've got a little bit of texture, or you've got some, it's not level, it's not flat, you need to add a little bit of clay. I don't want paste, you don't want to add any water, you need just the clay. And I'm just going to attach them there, both like that. Now again, as I've said before, make sure you give it a, you know, I rock it backwards and forwards until I can really feel that's got hold. You can feel it's got a really good attachment. If you don't have a good attachment, there's high likely you've got a bubble under it. And again, see how that's seeped out the side? I really don't worry about that. That'll just dry off and burn off. It's not an issue. You won't find it causing any issues. The only thing you might want to wipe off, and you can wipe off, sometimes I'll just use my pointing tool and just make sure that any little clay that I did put on it hasn't, you know, seeped out. If it has, I just gently push it up against the edge of the bale, or I just literally wipe it off. But as you can see, there's none. Now remember, this is not clean. This piece is not clean. This is straight just out of the kiln. Alright, so that's why it is the colour that it is. It's just out of the kiln, and it's not. I haven't cleaned it or anything. So I'm just going to put that onto the heat, and I hope to bring these all back to you and show you at the end. Alright, remove that. Alright, so the next thing is Again, it's the same principle. This is fired to fired, where that piece was prior was fired to unfired. So these are fired to fired. So how do we do that? Alright, so again with the ClayStay, same principle. Just when you're doing an unfired, grab yourself a little file, and all I want to do is just create a tooth. Just in that area where I'm going to do. Attach that piece, and I'm just going to attach the bottom to this. Now these are two different colors. So does that matter? No, it doesn't. As long as you're going to fire, when you go to put it in the kiln, and just say that you added a lower fired clay, just make sure that you follow obviously the manufacturer's temperature for it, and then you fire it, and it's lower than the other two pieces. So as long as the clay that you've added to it, you fire it at the added clay temperature, and at the green, because that's green state, unfired, and then you can just fire those at the lower temperature, which would be the clay that you're about to add, like I'm about to do now. Alright, again, I've just got myself a little ball. I'll just sit that there. So I'm just going to add a drop right here. Now as you can see that there's a texture on this piece. Let me bring that up closer so you can see there is a texture on that. They're out of the kiln, never been polished, just straight out of the kiln. And you can hear they're definitely both fired. Okay, so all I'm doing here is just adding the ClayStay here, a bit of ClayStay here. Alright, and I'm just going to literally squish some clay straight on top of that, because I know that I've got the texture on that and I want that really to push in. Alright, if I want to be fussy, I can push it in all of the area. I'm just going to make sure there's ClayStay on the clay that I'm adding, and which are be the both pieces. Right, so I'll just pick that up. Now this is not going to bond until it's dried. Okay, so while that is like that, I'll go and put that onto some heat, and then once it's dried, it has quite a good bond for it. And if you've got any clean up the mess behind it, leave it there if you like, and then come back and then clean it up after, or just, you know, if it's not bothering you, then don't worry. Alright, so that will go onto some heat, and I'll get that drying now. Alright, I'll just wipe down my bench. Alright, so here is fired and fired. Again, we're doing another piece that's fired. I'll just bring the camera down in a little bit closer. That's a gold bronze. Oops, upside down. That's a gold bronze piece, and that's a desert sun. These are all Aussie colours because that's my preferred clay. Now I'm just going to add some gold bronze to the back of the little tiny flower, and then I'm just going to place it right here. Okay, so let's pop that down, and I will put some ClayStay on the back of the flower, just a little dab. Some ClayStay on the area I'm about to attach to. Now, is it important to rough up the area? Yeah, I probably should have done that first hand, shouldn't I? But I had done it previous, so I'll just do it just to show you what I would do. Alright, so I just rough that up. And the flower is so tiny. And I'll just rough that up. Okay, so I've just made some marks. I've just made some marks in that, so which doesn't, it will help just grab hold of the texture, but I've got quite a bit of texture here, as you can see on the back of that pendant. So alright, so I'm just going to literally, I've got a nice big blob of ClayStay there. I'm just going to dump that, literally just a little tiny ball in the back of that. Okay, so that's all I've done, and I'm just going to push that down a little bit, and then I'm going to flip that over. I'll pick this up so you can see a bit better, and I'm going to turn that this way. Now this ClayStay is just within that little section. I think you can pick that up, and then I'm just going to lay that there and then push that together. Okay. Right, sorry. Trying to keep that in line for you so you can see. Alright, so there won't probably be much cleanup on that because it's now just in the back of it. So, but that'll be really sweet. I will just, all of these pieces that I'm doing, do your burn off as your manufacturers schedules, and then fire it to the you know, the completion of whether it's stage 2 or whether you're using silver, because this will cover all, you know, all clays. I haven't had any, it's been tested in quite a few of them. I haven't had anybody come back and say that there's been an issue with it not attaching correctly. Alright, so back return, just returning now to show you. Alright, so remember we had the ClayStay, which is down here. Yes, you can see there's a little bit of difference where the brush strokes is. Now if you're really fussy on that and you feel that the surface is a little bit uneven from your brush strokes, do grab yourself the fine sandpaper. And probably the blue one, which is the finest, and so I'm was just looking on my bench to pick up one to just show you. Give me one sec. Rummaging around here. Okay, this is one of my pieces. Okay, sorry about that. Just had to get a little piece. So alright, so if you really want to make the surface a little bit, just give it a little light sand. That's all you need to do. Okay, give it a light sand if you really want that back smooth again. And but you know, you can see it's out of the heat. It's fine. ClayStay doesn't affect the flexibility of it, and so there's no issues on that. So what I want to do is do a demo and show you. I've just got one of these cutters, and I will show you how it's cut. So just showing you from the underside, and I'll just, this is a 3 card thick, and it just gives me a really nice clean cut. And I think you could be quite happy with that. One day I'll make this. This will be one of my, this is one of my bezel pieces that I will be using in one of my pieces in the future. But I really like that. It's a really cute design. And let's cut these all out. Beautiful. So, and if you want to use scissors, I'll just use, I've just got a pair of these here, and I'll just show you the other end. Okay, so, and then that gives you a nice little, as well. You could use that as a bezel wire as well. And alright, so that's a completion of the little, and I'll get the rest and I'll show you. Okay, so just to finish off that heart, so as you can see, just a quick close look. As you can see, look, you can't see any glue there. There's no, you know, bonding residue on any part of it. Alright, as you can see, it sticks very nicely. So that's all ready to fire. Remember, that was this one here is unfired to unfire. This one here is fired to an unfired bale. So this is already fired, so to an unfired bale. So that's ready to go in the kiln. This is fired to fired. Look, it's stuck beautifully. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't pull this apart. You can easily pull that apart. But, you know, this is what you want. This is the outcome that you want to be able to get that into the kiln. So, fired to fired, 2 different colours. And they are actually, I think, one is a copper and one's a brass. And I've put gold bronze in between the middle of that, so that'll go in at a gold bronze temperature, because I've stuck it together with gold bronze and the ClayStay. So that's ready to go in. And again, that's going to come up beautiful. I love this piece. It's one of my favourite pieces. And just to add the little flower in the centre. Remember, fire to fired, both polished. Rough up the back area with a little bit of teeth, and you're good to go. So that's now ready to go into the kiln and have a completion on fire. So delighted with that. So just to show you how strong it is, the horse with the bale. Look, how many other products can you do that with? I just think it's just amazing. You still got to be careful. I'm not saying that these are you know, you're attaching it to green unfired clay with just a very small bond of glue. So still be careful. I hope you enjoyed that. Please let me know. Like, subscribe, and if you've got any questions, don't hesitate to ask me. And still discovering some of the processes. I have some more ideas that I'm coming up with later, so I'd like to share that with you as well. So thank you for joining me, and please give me some feedback. Love to hear feedback on pieces that you've used and the success that you've had. It really does make my day. And also it takes me to another place where it inspires me to just continue looking outside the box and discovering something new that I didn't know that existed, and bring it and show it to you. So again, thank you for joining me, and look forward to hearing back from you and your beautiful pieces. Bye for now.